Stacey, thank you for tuning in, and in this video I'm going to be talking about why I personally love spinning pole, how to prevent and stop dizziness, how to control your pole and other tips, and some strength and hacks to help you along as well. Please like, comment and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, but without further ado, let's get into this video. So, reasons why I love spinning pole. For me personally, I actually did start learning on static, but then transitioned to spinning pole about 6 months into my pole journey. But static pole is more about being really quick, being really fast, and like throwing yourself about. It's a lot more athletic, which isn't really my style. I prefer spinning because it's more about putting your body into the right place and then allowing the pole to sort of spin and show off all the angles of your body. I think personally that spinning pole looks a lot more pretty, and I can actually like dance, like properly dance to music with spinning, whereas with static it's more like you versus gravity, and you know, it's more about sort of showing off those power moves. However, when I do learn new moves, I do learn them on static because it's a lot safer. And with spinning pole, obviously, if the pole is moving whilst you're doing something that you're unfamiliar with, that can be quite dangerous. People like to argue which one is more difficult than the other. I personally think they're as difficult as each other, but just in different ways. I think in some ways spinning pole can be more difficult than static because you have the forces working against you sometimes. As I said before, I used to train only on static because that's how the classes were at my pole dance academy, and after about 5 or 6 months I went for my after the first 3 months, first 2 or 3 months, I went for my first spinning pole class, and I was strong enough to be able to do the moves. Like, it was fine, but I just really hated it because I just felt so ill and dizzy and just awful. After that class, I like vowed, I was like, I'm never doing spinning pole ever. I'm just gonna be a static pole girl. Like, I hate spinning pole. But then I just saw like all these dancers on Instagram and I was just like, I want to be like them. I want to be like them so much. My boyfriend, he was actually like, you clearly love spinning pole and you want to do it, so you're just gonna have to just go and get over it, like just do it. So I went to the studio one day and thought of the most like vomit-inducing combo I could think of, and I just did it like 20 times and I was so sick. I nearly vomited in the studio, but after that I was fine. Like, nothing ever came as like vomit-inducingly close as that. So ever since then, everything's just been a lot more gentle. I mean, I wouldn't advise that you do what I did because you might actually have the opposite reaction to me and just hate spinning pole even more. But it did make my tolerance really high. So to help with the nausea, you can take things like ginger. Some people do have those water infuser bottle things where you can put slices of fruit or whatever inside them. So some people I would see put like ginger slices inside their water bottles and then be sipping on that through class. You can get ginger powder pills, which if you take like an hour or 2 before the class, it's supposed to help you, or travel sickness tablets and things like that. When I started taking spinning pole seriously, I didn't really do those things. I was sort of more thinking in the long term, and that I knew obviously that as you do things more, your tolerance will increase. So I used to just drink water and have a fan next to me, or be somewhere where you can open a window to have that fresh air in. So one tip that really helped me a lot was spotting. Now in ballet, they often do this thing where you see them do turns and they look like straight ahead, and as their body's turning, their head stays in the same place, and then they whip their heads around to look back at this one spot. In pole, that can really help you as well. So say if you're doing like a pencil where the pole's right in front of you, you're doing something like this, I would look like directly at the pole. So focus on the pole that's right in front of you. If I'm doing a certain position where my back is to the pole, I will look at something like my hand or my foot, because relative to the rest of my body, those parts of me aren't moving, and I can look at those still things instead of looking at the spinning atmosphere around me, and it really reduces your dizziness and nausea. As I danced more often, the less dizzy I would get. So obviously if I have like a really long session and I'm training for like 3 hours or something like that, then by the end of it I might be a bit shaky. But then usually if I feel dizzy during my practice, I'll just drink some water. Like that's probably a big thing for me actually, that helps me to remember to drink water during my training sessions. And when I start feeling a bit more dizzy or nauseous than usual, I'm like, oh, I've got to drink some water. Now, even though I'm further into my practice, I still do sometimes get dizzy, but it's a lot easier for me to shake off and it doesn't actually bother me as such. I think dizziness is something that never actually goes away. You just teach your body how to deal with it better. So one thing to mention before I get into the other tips is to make sure that your pole is not screwed too tight into the ceiling. This is really important because the pole spins on bearings, and if it's too tight, it will just slow down a lot faster, which means that at the beginning you have to put in a lot more power so that you can go just that bit faster so you can finish the routine. But then at the beginning you're going to be spinning like ridiculously quickly and it might be too much for some people, and it just ruins the flow, and you know, by the end of it you'll be spinning at like 2 centimeters per hour, which is not what you want. If in doubt, just ask your instructor or whoever's in charge of the poles in your studio, because obviously they don't like it when people are tampering with their equipment and things like that. So always ask first before you start adjusting things, mainly for health and safety. So with starting off, you want to push like super gently. You don't want to be like fully going for it. Obviously the faster you're spinning, the more strength required to do certain moves. So like climbing becomes just that little bit more difficult. Going into a seat just becomes that little bit more difficult because the centripetal, or is it centrifugal? I think it's centrifugal. The centrifugal forces are pushing you away from the pole, so you need that upper arm, like that back and body strength to be able to pull yourself closer into the pole. If you find that you stop spinning a bit too early onto your routines, it could be that A, your pole is too tight, or that you aren't putting enough push at the beginning to ensure that you spin all the way throughout your routine. And a spinning pole can like go for, I've done routines that are about a minute long and the pole is still spinning. Or you could either be doing a lot of stuff that has your arms or legs out. So if you start doing moves like a butterfly or an Aisha, which involves a lot more mass spread away from the pole, that means you're going to slow down a lot faster. So you know those like huge swings that you get like at the fair or something like that, and it's like they're on really long chains and you sit in them, and the faster the ride spins, the further out the chairs go. And it's the same principle with spinning pole, in that the faster you move your pole around, the higher up your body's going to be lifted. So this is very different to static pole, in that static pole does not have this idea of weightlessness, and with static pole it's just gravity pulling you down. However, the centrifugal forces in spinning pole can actually work against you. As I said earlier, the pulling force required is a lot more the faster you're spinning. The closer that you come into the pole, the faster you also start spinning, so it's kind of like a double whammy. Developing the strength necessary to pull yourself closer to the pole is really important. Doing things like pole pull-ups and press-ups and anything that's working your arms and your backs is really good. You don't have to do it every time you go to pole, but just like 5 minutes every day, just do some push-ups, do some pull-ups if you can. If not, you can do like the bent knee versions. You can do the ones where your arm is 90 degrees when you're doing your pull-ups, so you're not starting all the way from like down here. Spending more time on the pole is going to develop your strength as well. So even if you're not doing super hard and super difficult moves, just being on the pole and just working out is going to help you build up that general strength as well. If you're trying to do a pull-up and then a sit, it's so much easier to put your forearm on the pole and sort of twist your body to the side slightly so that you can have that leverage with your elbow instead of having to just use your bicep and back strength. That leads me to my next point, which is use your forearms as much as you can. I see so many of the beginner girls trying to climb without having their forearms on the pole, which makes it so much harder. If you want to do things like climb and put your forearm on the pole and have your arm at that 90-degree angle, so it's a lot less strength needed to pull yourself up. One problem that I had when I first started spinning pole was remembering what I was doing. So I would go and then climb, and then I'd get there and then I'd freeze and be like, oh god, because the pole was spinning so fast and I could barely put my thoughts together. So one move that really helped me was just putting my forearm on the pole and my arm up and sort of dangling there, like doing a cheeky air walk, just to slow the pole down a bit, gather my thoughts and be like, okay, I'm ready for the next thing, let's go. Also remember that if you're on the pole and you're spinning and you're going way too fast and there's no one around to slow you down, or you can't get down, stick an arm or a leg out, and that really helps to slow you down, because obviously there's more weight further away from the pole. As you can see in this video, as my body comes closer to the pole, it starts spinning a lot faster, and when I move away from the pole slows down a lot more. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like if you like this video and comment if you have any further questions. Please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this as well. Thank you. Bye.